beautiful Earthlings. You made it past eclipse season. We are now in April. Can you believe it? And now that we have a lot of fire working through us with the new zodiac wheel of Aries season, I'm going to go over all the energies and what you've been going through, what you can expect as we now transcend into a new time and space. But before I get into that, my name is Elaine Rodriguez. Thank you for all the newcomers and returning subscribers. I'm an energy alchemist, intuitive coach, and healer, and I basically help you understand what's going on with the energetics so that you can work with the sequence and the energies that are pulling you in one direction, and you can understand what's going on in your journey and spiritual ascension process. Thank you for joining. But let's first connect and go inward. Take a deep breath in. Slow, long breath out. Deep breath in, filling all the way up. Slow, long breath out. And connect to the sounds. Continuing to go inward, fully arriving and joining us. We are now in the last week and a half, per se, of these two retrogrades that we've been part of. First was Venus in the beginning of March for 40 days, and then Mercury joined the party mid-March. So the planet of the goddess, the divine feminine, love, money, value, has been in communication with the planet of communication, which is Mercury. If you feel a very big slowdown, things just feel very like lethargic, like the feeling of you want to move forward, but you can't. There's a lot of assessments going on within to review what we really want and what we value, but more importantly, how we're going to move through this by going inward so that when we come out, we know what we need to do. A very big planetary transit just took place shortly after our solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th. So just to rewind a little bit, we first had a full moon blood lunar eclipse in the middle of March in the sign of Virgo, which I did go over in a previous video. So it was like a deep purge, and then the solar eclipse a few days ago, which we're still in those energies. It's reawakening all the newness, all of the new energy that we've been moving through is trying to birth a new reality. So the new big transit that happened was this week, the Sunday and the 30th. The planet of spirituality, dreams, illusions, disillusions, Neptune, has been in Pisces since 2011. Pisces is a very intuitive spiritual sign, but it also can be wishy-washy, indecisive, and unsure how to move forward. Whereas now, for the next 14 years, Neptune will be in Aries. And Aries is the go-getter, the fighter, the warrior, the one who is ready to take action, sometimes impulsively, sometimes impatiently, because each sign has a shadow aspect. And what does that mean for us? So you've been moving through a deep healing journey for these past years, especially from 2018 till now. I know when I moved to North Carolina, I went through a massive shift coming from the north, and that led me to start my practice here and just reinvent myself. So we want to look back at seeing for the past 14 years, what dream have you wanted to birth? but being in Pisces, sometimes it doesn't always fully birth. And now it has an opportunity to truly birth. And also, we are now healed, more healed versions of ourselves since we've been doing a lot of the transcending work, the alchemizing work, the facing the depths of our shadows. Now we get to see the fruits of our labor. And Aries is the type of sign that, even though it may not be 100% sure, it still goes for it. So this beautiful dream we've been having, cultivating for the past 14 years is driving us to take action now. And that means getting that book going, starting that podcast. That means no longer being in the closet. So the spiritual evolution is going to progress further during this time because we have the courage and the fire of Aries backing us up. It's also going to form more scandals, more revolutions. The last time this happened was 1861, beginning of a big civil war. And we don't want to project that, but we want to understand that things will come to a head and more truths will be revealed. And part of having a spiritual awakening is you first become very disillusioned by the fact that you were programmed all your life and that you realize all the things that you learned weren't necessarily true. And you gave it a lot of power because you believed it, whether it was society, our parents, church, the TV, the media. We've believed those realities to be true, including the ones that we tell ourselves. Whether it is you believing that everyone's against you, or you are not deserving, or you're just not good enough. Whatever limiting beliefs you've told yourself throughout the years is what is your reality. So now, if you've worked on a lot of that and you are propelling forward, Aries is going to help you move it along. So these next 14 years are going to be very, very powerful, and we're just getting a taste of that. The outer planets move a lot slower than the closer planets like Venus, Mercury, and Mars. So Neptune takes a while. We're just getting into Aries mode with Neptune, but there is going to be a retrograde in October to January where we're going to go back to Pisces for a little bit, and that'll be the last time in our lifetime that we will experience the Neptune and Piscean energies. So we've been hanging out in a stellium in Pisces. Saturn has been hanging out there. There's been a lot of energy. And also Venus and Mercury now in their retrograde are back in Pisces. So we're still feeling that last aneretic point before it leaves the Piscean energy. So we're kind of in between, but we get a little bit of that surge. Now, remember, we're also in Aries season. This is the sun is in Aries right now. Happy birthday to all the Aries people out there. And Aries takes no shit, basically. So people are going to be signing up more for what they believe, and people are going to fight to get their message across. And it's going to come from a place of power, not from a place of fear or shaming. It's going to come from a place of courage. So this is definitely the era, the new era of spiritual courage that we're stepping into. So for the month of April, we don't have a whole lot of activity, but honestly, why would we? We had a ton of activity already. We're going to be coming out of Mercury retrograde on April 7th and coming out of Venus retrograde on April 12th. So between the mid to latter part of April, there'll still be a little shadow, but for the most part, we'll be out in the clear. So you want to tell yourself, what did I learn the past 40 days in Venus retrograde that I now know about myself? What habits did you release? What courageous shift you allowed yourself to undergo? What are you no longer accepting in your life? What are you no longer settling from? No longer settling from the crumbs. No longer settling for relationships that do not worthy you. No longer settling for being devalued. And also being misunderstood. Because Mercury creates a lot of friction. I know I had a lot of technical issues with deliveries with me and some printing issues. But I forced myself to just pause and not try to force things. When you force things, you become too exhausted. And I went through a period too this month where I was trying to force things, and it's not the time to force things. Well, we're in a retrograde, so we get to check ourselves. Like, I'm going to sit my happy ass down for the next week and a half and allow whatever wants to flow through me for creation purposes to come through, so that when it is time, we can move forward. So the only two major events are happening, because right now the dust is settling. Right now we had those two eclipses. We are now in the aftermath of the rumble that the eclipses created within us. So now we're letting everything settle and seeing where the pieces are going to lay and how we're going to build moving forward. So congratulations, you're on the other side of this series of eclipses. And our North Node right now has moved from, Aries to more Piscean energies. So marrying that with Aries, we're going to have a beautiful blend of spirituality and forging forward at the same time. Our South Node right now is in Libra, so we're still ridding ourselves of codependency, of being needing validation, and so forth. We have the full moon in Libra on April 13th, and that one is going to be more stabilizing because Libra loves to balance things out. And then we have later in the month on the 29th, our new moon in Taurus. We're going to move to more grounded energy. Right now with the post equinox, we're starting to have more pep in our step, more activity, more action-based energy, more masculine energy. So after the retrogrades end in mid-April, you're going to feel like you're going to want to start doing more and being more present for your life in activity form. I'm going to pull some cards for us to first look at the energies, the themes for April. Messages of clarity and truth. Thank you, Spirit. Opportunity, and this is a caterpillar. I had posted about this the other day. The caterpillar must completely go through the death before it becomes the butterfly. So this is our chance to really step into that butterfly. And you've been in the gook, you've been in the cocoon, not so nice feeling paused, feeling uncertain. Fool's embrace, transmuting pain. I love that. So she's holding herself, feeling the rawness of these eclipses, people coming out of your life. You're no longer resonating with circumstances, jobs, relationships, even sister wounds have been coming up, and you're transmuting that. Remember, that's part of the growth as you become that butterfly. And remember too, we're in the year of the snake, so we're shedding a lot, and it's the number 9 year, so this is a transitional year. Cosmic wound, the divine feminine, the mother of all creation. everything came from that inception of the womb space. But I won't go too deep into that. That's for another time. Hold on. Feast of plenty, choices and their consequences. So we're stepping into the season of Taurus later this month, and Taurus loves to have abundance and feasts and luxuries and comfort. But remember what you learn during this season. Sometimes what we think brings us satisfaction does not bring us really. Old addictions and old habits that we began to purge, we might revisit them to play and see if they can still bring us that satisfaction. And you're clearly just not the same person you once were. So you want to measure the choices and face whatever consequences come of it, but from a lens of understanding. That's no longer how I want to feel. That's no longer the habit that I want to continue making. It takes a lot of energy to reassert self. We sometimes let our shadow or even the stuff that we have in our bodies, because one thing I learned during my Venus retrograde was working with a functional medicine doctor is that my gut health was really, really shot, and it's almost like I had a little monster inside of me that was demanding sugar. And once I started to really eliminate the foods that cause a lot of inflammation, I felt more clarity, and when I had it again, I felt really sick. So asking yourself, is it really worth the damage that we do to ourselves? Then stars in the sky, limitless possibility. When you marry Neptune in Aries with Pluto that is now in Aquarius for like almost 40 years, we are entering a new timeline. We are also able to bend time. We are also realizing our power. Our mind, our thoughts, our abilities are powerful. You are not a victim, and you are not the old story. You have the power to recreate yourself and start anew. We make choices. What we give our energy to, we give our power to. What are you applying your energy to? This great awakening that continues to happen is bringing people from all over to join the ascension process. We're no longer going to be blinded or conditioned. We're connecting to our soul that knows the way. We have choices, we have abilities, and we have limitless possibilities. So I'm going to just read a little bit in the book about these limitless opportunities, just to really drive that message home. It takes a lot to face the depths of your shadows and understand that a lot of what we perceive is a false illusion. When you look up at the velvety dark blanket of the night sky, covered in the vast expanse of space, can you count all the stars twinkling above? Can you imagine that you're only glimpsing a tiny, teeny sliver of what is actually there? This is the domain of limitless possibility, of the never ending sea of potential that you yourself are made of and have now at your disposal. Your life right now is alive with possibility and needs your clear focus to home in on. What avenue of exploration most calls to you? It is time to choose and not be distracted by the sheer magnitude of what may be. Be here now, gather your thoughts and your most cherished dreams, focus on the brightest sky in the never ending sky, and take small steps, small movements toward calling this glittering potential into reality. If you can imagine this, hold that vision. You will summon all the celestial helpers and guides to aid you to bringing it into fruition. Keep your focus on the essence of potential rather than the form of it. The universe has its own ideas of how best to serve you and all of us at the same time. Trust this as fact rather than theory, and you ought not act surprised when your dreams come true, for they surely will exactly how you need them to. Sending you all so much love and blessings for this April month. I will see you next time.